years ago, our dear friend Maggie proved to us what laughter is all about.
You're not on, Angie.
I'm not on? That's good. Oh, I haven't turned it on.
There you go.
I went through it.
It's on now.
Yeah.
I tend to be too loud anyway. Last time I gave a talk, I didn't turn it on and nobody knew it. So anyway, about a few years ago, Maggie attended one of our Antrim conferences. There are a couple hundred people in the audience, and they appointed her to give the final treatment, the final message of the conference. So she stands up in front of these good people, and she did her laughing meditation. It's the first time, and I've been at this thing for about 44 years, it's the first time I've ever seen people give a standing ovation for somebody doing a spiritual mind treatment. They all stood up, and you were magnificent. This month, what I like about the theme, of course, Bob and I have thought about it. How do you mix that in with Easter? And we thought about that, and I took care of it last night, or this morning. Anyway, what this whole month is about, I think, and I just came up with that a few minutes ago, is that most sentient beings, most beings understand that the principle, the primary principle of life is to enjoy it. Right? Would you say that?
Yes.
I know our cats enjoy it, and our dogs enjoy it, the deer enjoy it, everybody, except the human species. The human species has forgotten that the primary principle of life is to really enjoy it. So this month's about how do we enjoy life. Today's Easter, and we're going to take a trip here, because for Easter, there are many, many, many definitions of Easter from a lot of folks, and today we're going to agree on one thing, that Easter is a time where the nature and the universe comes together and bursts forth a newness of living. Would you accept what that is? And that's, that we can deal with that. And for Angelo, it's a time of renewal. And for all of us, it's a time of renewal where all people, all things can reestablish who and what they are. And the bottom line for me is that I use that word bottom line. Remember I said I would never do it again. Well, I did it. But for me, Easter is a time where I can renew and really contemplate and look within. And one thing I wanted for you is this, that there's this spiritual magnificence within Angelo that's eager, that's striving to express itself, but it's really almost pleading with me to allow it to do that in my life. And what's kind of interesting about that is, thinking about this, Angelo, you've got to transcend, you've got to rise above the false perception that the world of form, that I'm a player in that world of form, but I'm under its spell. That the world of form actually dictates my life experiences, dictates how I feel about things, and it really controls my endeavor. I've got to come to that realization that this power and this presence within me is eager to express itself if I allow it to do it. Now, how can I allow it to do it? That's what this month's all about, is how do we release our dependence, our connection, our attachment to the world of form. And how do I express that power and that presence that's within me that we call it divine? And so what happened was, I got to thinking about our own life, and one year, many years ago, we had built our house, and we were putting in the driveway. We had enough funds to put in the driveway to wrap around, and I was going to plant a lot of roses, or we planted roses. Little did we know that they don't last, because the deer love roses. We planted 10 roses. But anyway, I'm walking along and admiring 4 inches of blacktop, asphalt. See, I said it right.
You did.
4 inches of, yeah, Stella always corrects me because my Italian comes out, I always call it asphalt, but it's not really, it's asphalt. Sorry about that. I chew on people who use those kind of terminologies from the podium, but Stella's here and she's smiling, with that grin. So that's all asphalt. Anyway, we have 4 inches of asphalt. We put it on the driveway, and I'm walking along, flying what roses were left after the deer took care of it. It was during Easter time, and I noticed something on the side of one of the driveway. Here's a bubbling up of the asphalt. Here's a bubbling up of the paving. Let's use word paving. And I thought, that's really strange. It's like something's underneath there pushing up the paving. What the heck is all that about? And so I didn't do much about it. A few days later, I'm out there watering the rose that was left. And I looked and I experienced, I witnessed the magnificence of life itself, the creative power of life. What did Angelo see? Some of you may remember the story. A little leaf poked its head up at the top of this bubble, as if to say, "Da-da! Here I am, world." It poked its head over. But what happened was, I could go there and snip it with my fingernail, and yet it had the power and the presence to push 4 inches of solid paving up. Isn't that incredible?
Incredible.
And what did that do for Angelo? It did a lot. I thought, my gosh, we have within ourselves this tremendous power that's not restricted to Newton's law. Sorry, Bob. Newton's law of physics. Not restricted by it. And my gosh, and so the idea of life came into my presence. I finally identified what is life. Through our education day, the ministers will always say, or the teachers say, "Angelo, what is life?" And you have to think about, what is life, you know? And so finally the definition was there for me. What is life? Life is the presence of God. That's what life is. It's the presence of God. And here it is, in all its magnificence and glory, pushing its way up through 4 inches of concrete. Yeah, it's unrealistic sometimes and unreasonable, but that's what we have. And then, as I look within that of myself on what am I going to do for Easter, I've got to accept and believe and know that there's that magnificence, that power within me that can, exemplified by that leaf, push 4 inches of paving with ease. And then the reality is, we'll find this out during this month of April, that power and that presence is who I am. That's who we are. That is who we are. We are that power and that presence. We've forgotten about it. And so that power and presence, when we bring it into our experience in the human form, then we can go ahead and enjoy life itself. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Clap for that little power. Okay. The Fresno Bee, not too long ago, well, a few years ago, had an article. And the title was, "Happiness, if you are happy, it is contagious." Anybody remember seeing the article? It wasn't a bee. Probably on the front page, maybe, I don't know, or buried deep in the 6th page or 7th, but it was there. If you're happy, it's contagious. And what they were doing, they were quoting a guy who was a researcher out of Harvard. And he had studied 4,700 people over 20 years. Can you believe this? Over 20 years. And came up with the research data that said this: happiness operates, and I'm Pizeloizing this, happiness functions like a virus. If you're happy, it will spread to the people around you. And if you're happy, it has no generational gaps. It'll spread throughout your sons and daughters, through your children, through the community around you. It's so amazing. And it's contagious. And when we think about that, we think, my gosh, what is it? When we get into that idea of happiness, what it does, we resurrect in the moment. We resurrect in the moment the idea of life in that moment. When we're happy, we bring God into the picture. We bring this divine energy in the picture. Everything else falls away, and there we are in that glorious area where there's no baggage. We're there to experience this life and experience the wonder and the glory of this life without worrying about the economy and my checkbook and all the house and all this stuff. And so the idea of all this is that we are that. We are that happiness. Now, there's a story that I love. It's about this guy. He's in this, it's Easter time, and he's in this, at the supermarket. Long line, people were upset, they were complaining. The poor clerk was having a really bad time, bad day. Things were marked. We were in a line where the marking was there, so that she had to send somebody to go find out how much something cost. And then people were grumbling. So the guy in line takes off his shoe. Speaking into his shoe, he said this, "Hi, Martha. It looks like I'm going to be 2 or 3 hours late because I'm in this line at the supermarket. And everybody's having a bad time. It's taking time, but the poor clerk, she's having a rough day because the stuff isn't marked." And people start looking at him and say, "Who is this nutcase? He must be from PLC." But what happened was the contagiousness of that. One person laughed. Then everyone in the line started laughing. And pretty soon the whole atmosphere changed. And people started talking to each other. The clerk started smiling because she was honoring and snapping back, and all of a sudden she's smiling. It's bringing in, what did they do? What did that person do with the shoe? What did he do? Tell me about it.
Change the vibration.
Change the vibration, okay. Anything else? Well, this is Easter. What happens during Easter?
What?
The bunny
We celebrate this idea of Easter. We celebrate renewal, but we also celebrate the teachings of the Master Jesus and his activities and his circumstances. What that person did in the spur of a moment resurrected the idea. The atmosphere there was not connected to the divine at all, was it? They were angry and people were not kind to each other, etc. But all of a sudden he brought in resurrection into the picture. And what that means is, do we understand what he did there? He brought life into the picture. And what is life? The God presence. Isn't that cool? Yeah. And that's what he did. And that's what this Easter is all about. This Easter is about how do we do that? How do we bring the God presence? How do we renew? How do we resurrect? How do we bring that presence into this moment right here and right now? How do we do that? And so one of the major things that we talk about here is we need to release and not have the human drama. We're not under the spell of human. Let the human drama go by itself. Be itself. Just witness to it. And just enjoy the moment. Bringing the God presence in. Resurrecting the day. I have a story to tell. And one of the things that we do wrong, and maybe it's not wrong, it's just one of the things we do. We think that our happiness comes from the stuff that we accumulate. You know? And so we put all of our eggs into that basket. And we should know full well that our happiness does not come from because when we go into the presence of the divine, that is the breeding ground for laughter. It is. When we bring the presence in, when we resurrect that moment and bring that into the picture, the idea of the presence of God, it creates a mental atmosphere to where I can really enjoy what's going on, and I can be playful with it, and I can have joy and all that. So the story has to do with that. Everybody knows our office manager. And I promise, I'm not going to mention her name, but I've got permission to use this story. Friday, she calls me from Fresno. This lady has been working for us as a volunteer for over 16 years. She's heard my talks. She used to listen to all the tapes and all that. Well, she recently bought a new car. And so she's got this wonderful new car.